Hey guys, this is your host, JP, aka The Demon, and this is episode 12 of Words of Radiance. We're really focused on the end of part 3, but mostly part 4 through this. We're getting very close to getting through these practiced episodes and moving on to Oathbringer, the third book in the series, and the one we're most excited about. We have several kind of non-Stormlight related episodes we'll release for fun in between, similar to what we did in between The Way of Kings and this. And they should all be a lot of fun. So please enjoy. And again, we will look forward to starting our Oathbringer episode shortly. Anyway, cheers. Live! All right. Dross, are you live? Are you live?
I am live, sir.
I need you to speak so I can line up the audio.
Live,
He gives a thumbs up.
I'm like, I need a voice. All right, folks. We are live, and welcome back to Lit Literature. Here we are again, episode 12.
12.
But just to avoid confusion, we're not really live because this is pre-recorded.
Yeah.
No, we're live for us.
We're live. They're not live.
Jesus, guys, Jesus. And you're here. This is our second to last episode on Stormlight Chronicles, Words of Radiance, book 2 of Brandon Sanderson's Stormlight Archive. Boom. And you're here with the shoutouts again on Lit Literature. This is your host, The Demon, a.k.a. JP. From a plateau in the middle of fucking nowhere.
We've got
the captain, the recent recipient of a boon.
Ooh, somebody got a freaking boon.
I just went to the old magic and just said, hey, give me a Captain Coke, please.
I went to the Night Mother.
Worth it.
Like, give us some Captain and Coke.
And a boon, apparently.
All right.
And with Captain and Coke, you've got your cherry over here, the Josh.
The Josh.
The Josh.
The
Josh protected the cherry.
With the cherry in his the Captain and Coke.
I know you guys might have a lot of friends named Josh, but do you have the Josh?
So do you think the listeners are going to be able to tell when we do a double header or not? You got the director, Brett Williams, back from LA, here in Chicago.
You got Aim the Dream, Annie.
Awesome. All right, that's us. We are again, and because we're doing a doubleheader, we are still missing the Hitman. He is still on a hit. We don't know. There's no lunch. There's no lunch tools. There's no white bread. And there is definitely no blood on the table.
Yes, but
There was definitely some dental floss.
But if the police ever
this
ask
time.
you, he was here the whole time.
You're not supposed to let him know that he's not. Oh, that was what I just did. Never mind. Son of a bitch. All right, guys. So we just were leaving off on Shallan infiltrating Amaram and finding out that Amaram has her brother's shardblade. So we now know that.
I wish I had her brother's shardblade.
Yeah. Shit. So we know that. So now we got to get into the very end of part 3. Before we do, let's talk a little bit about Shallan. Still very successfully infiltrating the Ghostbloods, but accidentally relinquishing her power.
Yes.
She gave away too much.
She gave away too much. Agreed. She let them know that she could draw like a beast.
From memory.
From memory.
Like a purely amazing ability to draw from memory. So that kind of, it puts a little bit more strength in their hands, or she's giving up a little bit too much. So she's trying to get this, like, you don't know, or she's trying to hide who she really is, that she's
now
in
she
light
can't let
eyes.
anybody know in her normal life how well she could draw, right?
Yeah.
So, at least she shouldn't, in her mind. And then we get a pretty funny scene where Shallan meets the Wit again, and Kaladin accompanies her and Adolin on a date.
So it starts out with Shallan and Adolin
triple
getting ready to go get in a carriage, go off to some menagerie.
But how do you guys feel about it? Because we know they get in a carriage. and she hugs Wit, so clearly she has the relationship we talked about in the past. But that's kind of fucked up to me.
Yeah.
It's crazy. And then Kaladin's kind of like curious, right? So I don't know.
I'm a little foggy.
I think
Go ahead.
I was just gonna say I think the most amazing thing of all in that scene is that Wit switches spots with the regular driver, just decides
Oh my God,
randomly to drive them to the fair.
I actually think that is. This is one of the things I want to talk to in the previous episode. That is one of my favorite scenes. Is so Wit switches spots and he's now driving the carriage for them. And Kaladin sits up on top and is like, we've got, like, they talk a little bit, but probably one of my favorite parts of the entire book so far is when Kaladin gets in the carriage with Shallan and Adolin, and then they get out and they talk to the driver, and the driver says that Wit, he was just like, they're like, why does he do this? And Wit, the driver's like, well, he actually wasn't that crazy. He just told me to meet him at this spot.
Right.
And then when I got up and sat in there, he ran off giggling about how great of a trick this would be. And just the image of Wit just like running away, just being like, they'll never know, is probably one of my favorite.
Now let me
like,
ask you guys this. Do you think that was part of what the driver was supposed to do? Was he supposed to say, hey, tell him this, because that way they won't know what I'm really capable of? Or do you think that Wit was really just playing the fool?
No, I actually, and this leads into a theory of mine, that I actually think it was still Wit.
Yeah, I was thinking the same
that
thing.
Wit is potentially the herald that had the powers of
Light
Shallan,
weaving?
light weaving, and transmutation. Or
Well, we
whatever
do know that Wit has shown multiple circumstances where he may or may not be able to light weave. Like, for example, when he did Kaladin's fire illusion at the fire.
At
in
the fire,
Shadowlands.
yep.
And also when he was very knowledgeable about it in Shallan's past, right? He's like, can you do it yet? And he plays music and creates illusions.
Right.
However, I still think that he isn't a herald, but that's my opinion. I think that a herald would be a character embedded in this world, whereas if Wit, in my opinion, based on some of the commentary evidence that he says, has traveled around. I think he's actually older than the heralds, because
I think he's a herald, and he just doesn't view himself as a
so
herald anymore.
here's why I don't think he's a herald. He, in this scene, literally, Adolin's making a joke about getting somebody his own age, and he's like, there's only one of those around, and we don't get along very well.
Right.
One of those around.
Right.
Now, I think there's actually, 5 of the
Right.
10 heralds are women.
Right.
So,
Is that right? I don't think I ever remember reading what
yeah,
their
there's
sexes
several
were.
women heralds. So if he said there's only one around, it makes me think he's even older than the heralds.
Older than the herald.
Just
But
like
I think he meant like in the area, not necessarily around period.
Could be.
Or it could be that when he became a herald, there was only one the same age as him. One of the women. Some would have been older,
hey,
some would have been younger.
I'm just saying that I'm going to say that he's not a herald, but he could be. I'm not saying that the argument's not there.
I think he might just be a meta character, almost like a Stephen King Flag or Pennywise, where he's able to like bridge dimensions and stories and kind of has like some semi-divine knowledge about what's going on. I think that's a really playful, awesome thing for Sanderson to do with his character.
That's how I feel.
Yeah. I think it makes a lot of sense that he's older than the heralds and that he's not a herald, but I also think that the driver was supposed to tell what Wit did because he doesn't want them to know what he can do. Maybe.
Could be.
Maybe he wants to like put this into their head, like, he's just an ordinary Wit playing gags
and running off.
you know?
Yep.
But I also love the image of him running off.
It's such a good. I think it's like such a great
Giggling like a schoolgirl.
yeah, like giggling and running off.
He's so interesting. So we get through that scene, but at the end of it, Kaladin's basically being a really annoying accompany third wheel on this date, and they go to a circus, and it kind of almost seems like it's reminding Shallan of the old memory with Wit in it, where she was kind of also at
At
some
a
kind of
fair, a city fair.
But the key is that Kaladin basically there decides that Shallan's actually not trying to kill Adolin. And then also we find out that Dalinar has named Amaran head of the refounded Knights Radiant. Which makes Kaladin immediately want to throw up on everything.
Yeah.
And immediately repress any initial feelings he had to come out to Dalinar and say that he has these powers.
Because
Yeah, he really just needs to come out the closet.
Yeah.
Well, Kaladin was basically like, I told him, and he still did that. I told him, and he still did that.
Which goes back to kind of to what we were saying last episode about just the oversimplification of how things work. You know, like he doesn't understand the position that Dalinar is in. He doesn't understand the pressures that he has, and how just coming out and like, even if he's right, just coming out and like accusing such a powerful, well-liked Light Eyes can completely just undermine all the good they're trying to do.
Not only that, it's like, think about it this way. Dalinar's known Amaran since they were young. So they've been friends since they were young. He was Gavilar's buddy too. So it's kind of like somebody. It's just a tough situation.
It's a hard sell.
So Kaladin doesn't understand it, but he is furious. And
Kaladin, you learn, especially in this book, that Kaladin is really self-centered.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know, it feels like he's got such a victim mentality. Like, it's always, why me, why me?
Right.
But in his defense, it kind of
I don't think he's he's certainly not.
It was.
Kaladin isn't self-centered. I think he's self-absorbed is the more
that's
accurate
the term. Correct.
Yeah.
He can't see outside of things that have happened to him.
Yeah, he's very close-minded about certain
Right.
things.
But I mean, at the same time, you almost can't blame him. He's had.
I can't blame him, but you just see this book definitely shows his flaws.
Yeah, and they
much
highlight
more
them, 'cause
strongly.
even though like the entire, and one thing that I think is pretty unique and almost like I said self-centered is he's just like, oh, I can't keep people alive. All these people keep dying around me. Why me? And it's like, you're the one who's still alive and they're dead. But he has this almost a bit of a self-pity that like, it's the bad thing that I'm still alive. Like, almost like he's finding a way to be like, if I'm still alive, I have to justify this. And it's just because I'm cursed. And I'm the person who's suffering the most because I have to live through watching other people die.
He has all kinds of.
He's like the
He's
like the epitome. He's like the definition of the unobtainable happiness. It's like even when he reached his goal of protecting all of the bridgemen,
It still wasn't enough.
still wasn't enough. He still had to find a reason to be upset and to be angry with his current predicament. Which I'm not saying that your predicament's perfect, but it's way better than being a slave on Bridge 4.
He's already higher than even several Light Eyes.
Exactly.
In terms of
well,
the rank.
he's the highest Dark Eyes, like pretty much ever has
almost
been
ever.
in the war, in the camps.
Except for maybe previous Dark Eyes that
Got a
won
shardblade.
Shardblades.
Yeah.
But I mean,
which he
like,
could have done as
he's-
well.
Well, yeah, exactly. So like he's so jaded that he can't see any positive.
Even Syl kind of points it out, like, you're less happy now than you were when you were protecting Bridge
Right,
before.
right.
When you were a Bridgeman. Like, but
Right.
things are so much better. But and I think that goes back a lot to something that Brandon Sanderson's probably going to hit on throughout all of this is how much perspective really matters.
Yeah.
That at that time, perspective was like, oh, I'm happy because I saved a life today. Now he's not happy because they have the potential of going into a fight,
Right.
or that like he has thousands of people under him that he has to protect. Like, that's worse than having 20 people with 10 of them dying every week.
Right.
So that scene where Amaran, he finds out that Amaran's basically
Knight
given the head
Radiant.
of the Knights Radiant, is also the start of the duel. So before we start talking about this fucking badass duel that goes down,
I don't remember this duel.
I want to go back and talk real quick. So the format of this duel is, we know Adolin, basically Dalinar took the leash off Adolin, and he's like, yeah, go duel, win me some shardblades.
Yes.
So Adolin's been doing it. In his first fight, he bluntly destroyed the dude. like a battle. He didn't even show any talent. The second fight,
He just brutally destroyed
the
this
first
fella.
one.
Yeah.
The
he
first
just-
one.
he
Second
just-
one was talent.
The second one, he refused to make any critical strikes. He just spent 3 hours whipping him until all of the stormlight leaked out of his armor and he couldn't move anymore.
A complete technical win. Versus
Technical
the,
only.
the prior one, all strength. Next one, all technique.
So we get
Yeah.
an idea that Adolin is fucking good.
Yeah.
Like, really good.
Really
That's what we
good.
get. But then he goads the cousin of the guy that he beat on the technical win into a fight where he says, you could bring another.
you can bring whoever you want.
want. Specifically, he says you could
And
bring
that guy's the
whoever.
current dueling champion.
And he is the current dueling champion.
That guy's the current dueling champion.
Yeah. So he, that's correct, Captain. He is. And so, but what happened was we ran into, by the way, whispers are picked up by the mic. So anyway, well, it's basically a trap. Sadius gets him.
Yeah.
Sadius gets him because Adolin
He
knows
trapped
better,
himself.
but he trapped himself.
He trapped himself.
It was a great idea. The idea was Shallan was helping him come up with a plan. The idea was that he could fight two guys, because that's amazing. Two guys at once. So he says that to the cousin, and then
I agree. Two
afterwards,
guys at once. Great.
he could be grass, eating the dream.
Coming from the gig.
But if he wins, he gets granted a
Boon.
a boon, like the Night Mother would grant, and the boon would be then he can choose Sadius.
He can
to come
choose
down and fight.
Sadius, yes,
And I
which
think
is
they
what he's
said-
wanted from the beginning.
Yeah.
He wanted to go straight to Sadius.
Yes. So little did he know, he said whomever you want, and not
How
another.
many? Just one other person.
Yeah.
So he,
To me, it seems a little
Three.
cheap still.
it is cheap.
Oh, it's
but-
totally cheap.
But that's why that
I
they
mean, because
allowed.
he did say at some point one other. It's just that his final words were whomever you want.
Yeah.
Yeah, but what I think is
that's the
unique
technicalities.
is they allowed, because he was being routed so hard, they allowed during the actual fight. They say like more people. can
Well,
play.
no, what the rules are. So he agreed to a full
handicapped.
handicapped.
Fight.
They didn't use handicap. They use a different word.
Yeah.
But it's basically a handicapped
Disadvantage,
duel,
yeah.
which means that as long as they have at least one more person, it's still legal.
Right.
There's no restrictions on the numbers.
So if
It
they
just-
had 7, he could have up to 6.
So what happens is, though, he goes out
Right.
there thinking he's going to fight 2. There's 4 guys.
All in shard plate, and one of them with
His friend.
One of them is friend, who's actually wielding a shard mace, which is like a giant warhammer. It's not a shard blade.
Yakimov? Yakimov.
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 Fucking dick!
I know.
What a tool.
The one that he was sitting
Yeah.
with and having like a nice lunch with.
He
one of the
battled
previous
with him
episodes.
earlier in the
Yeah,
books,
he had
and
just
he
battled
did all
with him
kinds
earlier.
of stuff, man.
Right.
Yakimov was his buddy, but 4 guys come out, and then we
Yeah.
get to see that Adolin could actually have probably dueled 3 people and been
Alone.
even.
Yeah.
Because the 4th guy is the one who finally took
He's
him
such a
down.
badass.
Like, wow. That was
Yeah.
awesome. That scene was nuts.
So during the fight, to know that it was still the conditions of the fight were disadvantaged.
Disadvantage,
fight.
that was the word they used.
So
Thank you. Full
Renarin
disadvantage.
jumps into the fight, who we know is pretty much just a bit of a stand-in, not really much of a fighter.
No, he didn't put his shard plate on either.
And yeah, Renarin with just a sword
Right.
and a shard blade, and then Kaladin.
No, wait,
So-
wait, though. What did you guys think about Renarin jumping in, though?
It's badass.
I think it was
I
well intentioned, but it almost seemed to
Hindered a little bit.
hinder the
They had to
fight.
protect him.
It gave him more of a handicap almost.
But knowing the whole Alethi war culture, one person was kind of obligated to step out, even though that person wasn't gonna. It's not fair for them to go full on against Renarin. So I think it helped, but it was mostly because of their war culture, where the person who went to go fight him knew, okay, this is a weak person. It's not worth me destroying him.
right.
So you said Kaladin jumps in, and I know that, but before that, literally, Sadius is trying to go Dalinar to jump down there like he would have done at any other time as
Right.
a
In
his
Blackthorn.
life.
But this is actually a good thing. The
And
king,
then Dalinar
Alucard.
tries to get the king to go.
the king, correct.
And
But
he says no because he's a fucking whiny bitch.
no, the king couldn't have done shit if he
Yeah,
went in
no,
there.
and Alucard knew that they were trying to go
Kill Dalinar. So
Dalinar.
that I thought that was a testament of being a good king because
an intelligence.
Alucard literally stopped them and said like, "You can't. You're gonna play right into
their hand. You're going to do exactly what they
You
want.
can't do it." And but Dalinar knows
still don't like
they're
him.
also battling. It's not just disadvantage. They're battling to
To kill.
to basically to
Get rid
kill.
of Dalinar.
They
to
and
cripple.
Yeah.
because the entire premise of the fight was until they gave up. Not that they
Had to kill him.
Yeah, well, not to kill, but till they gave up. So it wasn't just break 2 plates of shard and it's
they
over. It was until they yield, exactly. So what they did, knowing that, is as soon as Renarin jumped in, it's like if you call that you yield,
We'll kill your
we'll
brother.
kill your brother on accident.
Right.
Which means that Aelin's getting crippled.
Right.
Yeah.
So that was nuts.
And at several points, and at multiple points during the duel, when Adolin is fighting all 4 of them single-handedly, he actually does raise his hand to try and surrender in the duel, but the judge is kind of in on it, and she doesn't actually acknowledge his surrender. She lets the duel play on, so Adolin doesn't even have the option to surrender.
They were holding his arm down, and he was
Yeah.
kind of like, she kind of saw it, but
She definitely seemed on the take a bit.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
But then Kaladin, he jumps in with great quotes.
She's like an NBA ref.
Almost like he gave in. He's like, I'll do what I can. Yeah, she's like an NBA ref. Foul! No foul, no foul.
Bleep NBA so I don't get sued.
Yeah. No.
I'm just
they're
kidding.
fine. They're never gonna.
No, you're not.
So Kaladin jumps in, and it's fucking awesome! Kaladin goes berserk. And
Yes.
It's dope.
Yeah.
Except he's still actually trying to hide. He's only like, I'm going to take in just a little Stormlight.
Yeah.
Well, and luckily
A
it's
little bit here.
bright enough on the day that it would mask a lot of the glow coming
Yeah.
off of
It
his
just
skin.
shows what a badass he is, that he's like not thinking, oh, I just have to win this at all costs. He's just like, let's still hide who I really am.
So you basically got 2
Right.
badass guys in there. You get a guy who's handicapping himself slightly by taking in minimal amounts of Stormlight, but still
And doesn't
dope.
have a shardblade.
But then you also have
Right.
a phenomenal duelist, and these 2 guys not only protect Renarin, they also take down 4 shard
Four
bearers.
shardblades.
Fuck, crazy.
Well,
Or
and
3
you think it was
shardblades and a
3
There's
versus
also
2, but it was
one
really
other
easy.
participant. There's also one other participant in that duel. If I'm sure you guys probably noticed, Shallan panicked when she saw what was going on, how unfair and imbalanced the battle was.
Yeah.
So she sent Pattern
Yep.
in to distract the guy who was harassing Renarin. That duelist's name was Abradar. Pattern actually messes with that guy's mind, and Abradar is busy swatting at the ground while Kaladin and Adolin fight off everybody else.
Yay, Shallan.
and they needed that because basically Kaladin
Yeah.
was fighting 1 dude.
Right.
Adolin was fighting 2, and he was already damaged.
Yeah.
And they
Really
had
hard
that
move.
1 guy left, and they needed Shallan basically saved
Yep.
Renarin there because Pattern was just digging with that guy's head. Awesome.
Yeah.
So anyway,
Pattern was probably loving it because it's all lies.
so the coolest thing about this is when you I know, lies.
I love him.
The coolest thing about it is that people saw this, like it was like in a coliseum essentially. It was so badass, and then they win. And Adolin takes all the armor off, or well, they help him take the armor off, and he gets his boon, and he calls Sadeas out. And
Kaladin, you idiot.
immediately stands
You
up
idiot.
and says, "For my boon." It was amazing. It's like he didn't even ask him. The king was just talking to Adolin, and then Kaladin immediately.
Yeah.
There's good and bad to this. Like I loved it because I loved Amaran's reaction to being called out as a murderous, treacherous,
Nearly ready to
sack of
run.
shit. But then the king, being the king, flipped a nut
Hissy fit.
and had a hissy fit and arrested Kaladin.
Yes.
Yeah,
Well, obviously.
when this part when this part happened in the story, I was totally on Kaladin's side. I was like, yes, call out that son of a bitch. Like, everybody knows now that he's a murderer. But at the same time, the timing was just so terrible. His timing could have been way better.
Yeah, because you know that he was in all the meetings stating, this is our plan. And when it's just this bloodlust that Kaladin has, and this is where it's his fatal flaw, that it's just like, I'm the victim.
Exactly.
And this is my justice now, where it's not about you. This is, like, literally this entire plot was for the kingdom. And you're jeopardizing it with your, like, me. I'm the one who's getting hurt here.
Right. I agree. Like, it's always frustrating. Like, yes, it felt good for him to call out Amaram because you wanted him to be called out. But, like, you have to play the game you're playing, not the rules how you wish the game was. You know what I mean? Like, you can't just suddenly come out and do something that you know is so stupid and not going to get you the actual goal that you want just because it feels good. And he's playing he keeps playing this game. He keeps acting as if the world is how he already wants it, and he's not playing how he gets the world to be how he wants it.
Yep.
Which is very frustrating.
Right.
Yeah. It's pretty crazy, man. So the outcome of that is obviously that King screws it up. Sadeas he agrees to the duel in a year. And then
Like a year.
Because he knows what's really going to happen when that happens.
Yeah.
Yeah. Adolin just took down 4 shard bearers. I'm just one person.
Yeah. And
I'm old.
then good old Kaladin, instead of getting executed immediately, Dalinar saves his life and says, "You're going to prison."
Yeah.
And that's where we end.
But does Kaladin appreciate it?
No.
We'll find out.
Because he's going back into a cell.
He's back
and
into
he
his
says,
cell.
never again.
Yeah, so we'll get into that in a little bit. So we'll leave Kaladin there.
Which is the name of the chapter.
Kaladin, what a beast, man. He's such a beast, but he is playing the wrong game.
I know. Never have I loved somebody so stupid so much. He's really not stupid though, but he lets his emotions get the better of him a lot.
Will Sil tells him that all the time.
Yep.
So.
Yeah, but I think in the chapters in which he's actually in prison, like, I was just so disappointed.
Yeah. It's like with Kaladin, you always have Kaladin, and he's always fighting the wretch.
Yeah.
He calls it the wretch, and it's like this
Demon
thing
inside of him
deep inside of him, and that's a tough
A
thing.
Smeagol-like version of himself.
Yeah.
Exactly. And so we'll leave Kaladin for a tiny bit, and because we got to talk about the next interlude, which was a young gal by the name of Lift.
Oh my god, I love her.
10 years old for 4 years.
Yep.
So cute.
Anything, if she can't count to it, it's an unlucky number.
If she can't count it in 2 hands.
I mean, that's
So-
why I'm 10.
There's some badass shit that happens during this. First of all, we get an insight into a new type.
Another radiant.
And one, unlike the Shoemaker, who doesn't get offed, at least.
Wait,
no.
I didn't think she was a Radiant. She just tamed a Voidbringer.
She
You're right.
calls her Spren a Voidbringer, which is hilarious. I caught you.
It's
little
amazing.
Voidbringer.
First of all, her friend is hilarious.
Yeah.
Even his name is so fitting.
What's his name again?
Yeah.
Tell us.
Manny, you're
Manny
the fact
doesn't
checker. What's his name?
Something with a W.
Stop looking at me like that. They can't see your
Oh
face.
my god.
What's his name? You forgot. He forgot himself. He forgot.
Look it up, fact checker.
Fact checker, look it up. In the dream, look it up.
Hey, fact checker.
So
Something with a W for sure.
Uh-oh. Yeah, so she
So Lift.
she Lift. Fitting name too.
Yeah,
Lift.
man. I love this girl.
She first of
So
all,
cute.
she has several things that are very unique compared to other people with Spren.
Yes.
The first thing is that she could touch her Spren. And her Spren is like a vine creature.
Physical, which they believe the Spren believes it has something to do with her visiting the
Night
old
Mother.
gods, the Night Mother.
Yeah. So and I agree with that because even the Spren, her Spren's like,
You shouldn't be able to
you
touch
shouldn't be
me.
able to touch me. And she just climbs a wall because she has her vine Spren just grow up it and then
Yeah,
she
that's so
climbs
cool.
it. And nobody else can see the Spren. So it looks like she's climbing the wall.
She's just climbing the wall. Yeah.
So the other thing that she can do is make herself, or she basically can control friction.
Yeah.
Well,
So-
she's an edge dancer.
We did
And-
hear that from
Wendell.
the Wendell.
So cute. He totally sounds like an old man, like a butler.
He acts
Yeah.
like an old man too.
But we also learned that she's able to metabolize. Starlight.
Yes.
Exactly. I wasn't gonna go there quite yet, but
That's my favorite part
so
about her.
She's a thief. She's 13, 14, but she's 10 in her mind. If you can't count to it on 2 fingers. And she's breaking in to steal a place at what's the country called? Azir or Amir or something like that.
I think it's Azir.
Yeah, I think it's a
But
It's the Azish
I'll let,
kingdom, right?
Azish.
Yeah. So she's there, and they're trying to select a new ruler because Zeth killed their entire.
Their prior 2 leaders, and no one wants to be leader because they think
And so
whoever's
they're
going to
like,
be leader is going to die.
they're like, we can't pick we'll waste all of our talent if we have another
The
person
smartest,
be leader.
yeah, be
So
leader.
They're literally trying to figure out how to call their next leader without immediately. him
When I
getting
was reading this, I
assassinated.
kept thinking of that one episode of Futurama. Did anybody see that where it's like a planet of like water creatures and they keep getting drank, so nobody wants to be leader.
That's awesome. Nobody wants to be leader. Anyway, so the thing, we get 2 little tidbits here. The first is, as the Cherry was just pointing out, she can metabolize Stormlight, and she doesn't metabolize Stormlight like anyone else. I think this has to do with her Night Mother trip as well. She eats food to use Stormlight. She does
Right.
not absorb it.
Well,
Which is inconvenient.
And she's becoming a bit malnourished because she can. It
Keeps
appears that she
using
can
it.
metabolize her fat, and become like literally use all of her energy in order to use her power.
She needs to eat like a freaking. She just needs to eat like crazy.
Oh man,
in
if I
order-
could metabolize my
Lose
fat
weight
in the Stormlight, jeez.
Let's go to Portillo's.
Yeah. Let's go
it
down
is
Portillo's.
Azir.
Azir.
So awesome. So the second thing that happens is her little buddy, who is part of
Wendell.
her thieving.
Wendell.
Not Wendell.
Oh, okay.
The human buddy.
One of our human buddies.
Cousin,
Dogs.
the leader. Yeah.
Yeah, he wants to join her on a real thief, and they let her do shit because she's badass. But
Right.
the guy's kind of like, I don't want
The
to just
lookout.
Watch the window. Yeah.
So he goes with her, but unfortunately, our buddy who killed the shoemaker shows up with the team.
Who the hell do we think this guy is?
Scar on his face, which means that he was in Yasna's interlude in the very beginning of the book. Scar on the face. Right?
Oh.
Was there a scar on the face, that guy?
Yeah,
Am I
there's a couple.
crazy?
We have
I
a
think
crescent
you're right.
scar
We'll
on
have
the
to check
face,
this.
and we have a scar on the face.
You're right. There's 2 guys with a scar. There's a crescent scarred guy and a scar on the
Just a scar,
face.
yeah.
The guy.
I don't know. Does anybody have theories on who this guy is, though?
So I think that in the beginning of the book with Yesna's flashback to the night Gavilar died, I think we were talking to 2 Radiants. She ran into him. One guy had a scar on his face. The other guy was something else. I think one of them has to be Kalak. Because he's in the curse words, so he's got to be one of them. The second thing I think is this guy. There's a guy with a crescent scar who kills Radiants, who broke the law. Seems like you have to break the law.
So he hunts down
Well,
Radiants that have broken the law.
I essentially think that he is I think he could potentially be a Radiant in himself, but a logic spren. And I think even though he has a flawed logic, because he believes in the logic so much,
I don't think it's
the
the
spren
logic.
came to him. Because I think legitimately he believes that if the Radiants return, the Voidbringers return. Where it may be the opposite, that if the Voidbringers return, the
like
Radiant
he's on
returns.
the other
But
team.
he believes so strongly in his conviction that he was able to get a logic spren who
I don't think it's
probably
logic,
maybe doesn't
though.
quit.
Yeah,
It
care.
has to do with justice.
If
justice,
if it was
or-
logic, then he wouldn't need the law. He would just need the fact that
Yeah.
he's preventing
Yeah,
the
I think it's
Voidbringers.
got
So
to
you're right,
do
maybe
with
it is
because he even
justice.
says it. He says, doesn't he say something about the law and justice and
Yeah.
shit like that?
Well, he will not. So he legitimately finds every reason to be able to say, here's every lawful reason that I get to kill this person, or that I'm going to take this person away. And here he jumps through all these legal hoops to be able to say, here's everything I need.
Tell me this interlude was not beast.
Yeah.
So the kid, they kill the kid. Her Lift's little buddy. Slit his throat.
Oh,
we find out Lift's second power. Somehow she like revives this guy.
Yeah.
And then
She
they
has
have
the power of growth, which we find a little bit earlier with plant seeds.
Hence the
that
vine,
she
right? The
creates.
vine.
Yeah.
The vine is her friend, and she throws a bunch of seeds on a windowsill, has them grow to pop the windowsill out so she can jump in.
So she's got friction and growth.
And we find out she's an edge dancer.
I saw that smile. Friction and growth, guys. Anyway,
Me and this 14-year-old have a lot in common.
she's 10, bro. Wrong.
She's been 10 for 4 years.
10 for 4 years. But we don't know what the Night Mother did for her. Interestingly enough, we don't know what the Night Mother did. We don't know if it's a boon or a curse that she metabolizes Stormlight through food. And I think there's something funny about her.
I would say that's a boom.
Wait, so who's going to be... We know it's going to happen. We're going to have an interaction with the Night Mother. Who's going to be the first person we see go there?
To the Night Mother?
Is it going to be Shallan, Kaladin?
No, I don't think they'll go to the Night Mother. I think that
someone's gonna go, and we're
Dalinar's
gonna
going to
get a-
talk about the Night Mother, but it probably is a new character that we'll get that will go to the Night Mother.
Someone is going to go to the Night Mother eventually, and we're going to
think
get
it'll be
to
a
see
different
the
character.
entire interaction. But yeah, I agree. Maybe it's going to be the other characters.
Yeah.
All right. So anyway,
Jeff, Josh, do
kid
you get
that
to
was with
participate
Lift.
in that?
go ahead, Captain.
Jeff, Josh, do you guys get to participate in that? Who's going to visit the Night Mother next?
Yes. Oh yeah, we do.
Well,
Nobody's visited.
oh
the
yeah,
Night Mother.
because as of this point, it's even Josh, Jeff, and Manny, because he's finished the book.
None of us know.
Yeah, none of us know.
Yeah, we all get it, man. We all get to participate. Do you want to take that bet?
Nice.
I think it's somebody we don't know.
It's too
Yeah,
vague.
I think it's someone we don't know.
We're gonna save it, Dross.
Okay.
We'll revisit this bet later on, I think.
Okay.
So anyway, the kid becomes the leader of Azir because he gets revived by Lift.
Right.
And they
And-
immediately see the person that can survive a murder is the one that we want to be our leader
Yeah.
because everyone else died.
They're like, make this kid our leader so that, first of all, if he gets assassinated, he can live. Second of all,
We don't care
We're
if he dies.
and then he immediately pardons Lift. And so, therefore, Lift can't be killed by the Justice Warrior with the scar on his face. Crazy. Crazy.
Very crazy.
Then we get Szeth again, who's freaking out because we find out he was made truthless because he was telling his home village, his home leaders, that the Voidbringers were coming
coming.
back.
Zeth is like just all over the place.
Now
This
we-
dude is like a manic depressive ex-girlfriend. He's just
Well,
like,
he was basically made to murder a bunch of people, and he was holding to it like crazy.
I know.
And then he finds out suddenly that he might have been right, and now he's trying to
Now
figure
he's
out.
not
All
truthless.
those murders, did they? Yeah.
And doesn't he go back? He goes
Right.
back and talks to our good buddy. Or is that now, or is that later? I don't know that we could talk to that.
That's later.
Which
The only section that we
you
got
read
to
it
see
though,
with
right?
Szeth in this, right? The only section that we get to see with Szeth in this part is when he's on the very top of
The mountain.
the Shattered Plains, and like the tallest, or the mountain in the tallest
Yeah.
part in the world.
yeah.
And he considers that his entire life has been a lie, and the first thing he's going to do when he decides to get his shit together is go kill somebody that he wants to kill now.
I'm gonna kill somebody that I want to kill.
Yeah. Finally, for once in my life, I'm just gonna kill someone I want to kill.
So the other thing we get is Eshonai rounds her. Well, they have a meeting with all of the forms, and
Yeah.
then they're like, "We're gonna make more people storm form," and then she rounds everybody who refuses to go into storm form and basically plans on assassinating him.
Yes.
And
Oh,
instead, they
man.
run away. They got away.
I was like
Gestapo
all about
mode.
Eshonai all the way up until this chapter, man. Oh man, I was so
Yeah.
You
mad.
root for her so much,
I know.
and she's such a good
Yeah.
character.
Yeah.
And then she
And
gets...
then she just, just
She was
kidding.
gonna kill
I'm
her
a
own
jerk.
general, her own other general.
her most trusted advisor, she's like, I don't want them to turn into the storm form because I don't trust them.
No.
Which is almost a bit of a,
No, because
their
she
undertones
said
there.
everyone needs to turn. Whoever wanted to do it, she let him do it. Whoever said no, she pretended like, oh, we're just gonna round you up because you said no and we want to keep us separate
an
for
eye
some
on you or
exercise.
something, yeah.
But instead, what she was really gonna do was kill them.
But
Yeah.
she even has an internal monologue where she talks about after she herself turned over, she's like, I didn't choose my own generals or my own team to be the first ones to change over. And she kind of questions, why is that? And I think part of it's because, A, she has this internal monologue that's like, no, we don't want my own, like, people that I love and that I knew to turn into this form. But I think also that she knows that those people that if she
That's
turned
right.
into her own form, they would contest her or they're too strong.
I think she actually what she did is she offered it, but the people who were closest to her said, we're not going to turn yet because they noticed something wrong.
Yeah, they noticed the change in
They saw,
Eshonai.
yeah, that's what happened.
Because even Eshonai seemed like she was surprised by
I'm not
the
myself.
change,
yeah.
right? Yeah, she's
So
like,
the people who were closest to her, like her mother and her best generals, were like, you are not right.
yeah, which
And then
just-
she was pissed at him for not turning, rounded them all up, and she sent her general to go round them up like a normal, So
Yeah.
pretty wild, man.
oh man,
So she's definitely possessed.
yep. And I was really
Yeah.
starting to like her.
Right.
All right.
Yeah, same here. That was a very shameful fall from grace for Eshonai. You had a lot of hope for her that she could really turn her people around and get the Parshendi almost on the Alethi side in this upcoming battle. But
Yeah.
with this development, she definitely turns like Hitler mode with the
Yeah.
Parshendi.
The only thing I was happy about was that it turned out that her non-turned posse escaped.
Yeah.
And they escaped into the
Yeah.
chasms, which isn't great, but it's better than getting murdered.
So-
and that means that there
Now-
might be
Right.
Parshendi.
Now they escaped into the chasms. Actually, I don't know if I want to bring this up because I don't know if we've read this part yet.
Probably not.
They get out of the chasms in the end of part 4.
Okay.
No, we never see anything of what happens to them after they left.
But they get out of the chasms.
They do escape at the end of part 4. They do get out.
Okay.
They escape, but they don't get. We don't know. They
don't know
escaped
where
into
they're
the
going.
chasms.
Okay.
That's what we know. They
Right,
escaped into the
yeah.
chasms. We don't know.
Oh,
anything
no,
about what happened to them
no.
after that.
No.
No, at the end
Amber's
of
right.
part 4, we do get them in the chasms, and they do. It is revealed that Shallan has a certain something, and they escape
Yeah.
the chasms at the end.
Yeah,
But we
because
don't
at the
get
end
any
of part
narration
4,
beyond that in
she
part
makes the
4.
deal with Dalinar to go with him through the Shattered Plains to draw the map.
Oh,
of
no,
the
we're
Shattered
talking about
Plains.
Parshendi, guys.
Yeah, why are you guys talking about Parshendi? The Parshendi.
Oh,
Yeah.
Oh, I
Okay.
thought you
We
were
don't know
talking
where
about
Parshendi go.
Shallan and Kaladin. Okay.
me too.
No.
We will be there soon. So anyway,
The person
guys
that you guys
thought-
were mentioning before, that in Jasna's prelude, that was an Azish man with a white birthmark on his cheek. She says, or was it a scar? So we don't know.
Was there a shape to him?
No, it
No
just is a
shape
white mark.
mentioned.
anyway, my thoughts.
So it
you guys
could
already
be.
know. So let's go real quick because we were talking about, okay, so the Parshendi escape. But then we've got...
Something else that I think we totally forgot to mention from the prelude that I just read again.
what was it?
Liz, who's the assassin that Jasna hired to keep tabs on her brother's fiance,
Yeah.
had a servant, which was Zeth. And
Yeah.
Zeth,
Yep.
she had just traded Zeth, or gave him to a slaver. And then also the people that we meet, that she is one of the people with the birthmark on the cheek, say we shouldn't have let him, we shouldn't have let that creature carry the Lord's own blade.
Ooh.
We shouldn't have let him keep it.
Ooh.
So some
I
stuff.
did not remember that.
Yeah. Interesting stuff, guys.
Interesting.
So potentially, like the Lord, as in the person that Dalinar was seeing in his high storm.
What'd you
fits?
say exactly?
So what the people that are talking that she overhears this, I don't
Because he
like this.
said, "Oh,
What
that's
we've
the
done
Almighty," that's
was
right.
wrong. The creature carries my lord's
Or
own
the
blade. We
image
shouldn't have let him keep it.
after image.
He
My lord's own blade. AKA
lord.
Herald.
a herald.
Yeah.
AKA Honor Blade.
AKA
Honor
Honor
blade.
Blade, yeah.
Potentially. Dude. Potentially. Yeah, true. So,
I don't know how I bet on that. So
We'll
it's
have to-
potentially until I remember that.
yeah, we'll have to find out. We have to go through those old Brett bets and find
Yeah.
out. But the next thing I want to bring up real quick is Kaladin in prison runs into the Wit again.
Oh,
and the Wit
Wit.
tells him a story about the running man, is what I like to call it.
Yes.
The man who raced the wind or the storm.
Right.
And,
Doesn't end so well.
well, he died. He died. Dross, you got any comments on that?
Sounds like it ended perfectly.
I just thought it was a really cool scene. Once again, Wit kind of displays his meta form. And at the very end of the prison scene, well, first off, Kaladin kind of is losing his relationship with Syl a little bit. She seems to be degressing and devolving into how she first was with Kaladin when they first met. So there's kind of a troubling development with Syl while he's in the prison. And I think that's particularly due to the fact that she's honor spren. And Kaladin is kind of not necessarily his own fault, but he's choosing some less honorable decisions. And that's weakening the bond between him and Syl. And so that kind of develops during the prison phase. And then at the very end, when they finally do decide to let Kaladin out, because it's kind of just a slap on the wrist sentence, he gets out and he sees that Adolin has done a voluntary sentence alongside him.
Yes. Oh my gosh, I loved this moment.
Yes,
I
it was
loved
so
this
good.
moment as soon as Adolin came out, and I just thought it was so funny because even after you figure out that he was like still taking showers and shit, you're still just like, all right, you're still a good guy. I love it. I love it.
He's like, I refuse to leave this cell until you let Kaladin out.
And then you find out that he still had cologne on. He was taking like only cold baths. And
Oh my
Kaladin-
god, how dreadful.
Kaladin has this kind of like
Hey.
only cold baths.
Yeah.
No, but
And
honestly,
it's such
though,
a great moment.
That's
but
roughing
honestly,
it
though,
for a
it's
light eyes.
testament. Yeah,
Exactly.
And honestly, it's a testament to just his character. They wouldn't allow him. The problem was that he wanted to be in prison.
Yeah.
He would have probably taken any prison, but they refused to allow him to be that in prison.
Yeah.
They just refused it. But
Yeah.
it was pretty impressive, I thought.
I liked it. I thought it was awesome.
It was a great.
Yeah, I
I mean,
liked it.
like his character is getting better and better for me in this book.
Yeah. I mean, actually, I don't know if I can comment on that either, but yes, I really much, I like where Adolin's going. And not only just where he's going, but it's not even that he's like changing a ton. It's just you're starting to realize that he was always kind of awesome, you know?
Yeah.
I
It's
think-
just that a little
Yeah.
bit of perspective maybe holding him back from certain things, but that perspective is slowly
Getting
morphing.
revealed to
It's
us.
getting revealed, yeah.
Oh, it's so funny, even in Shallan's dialogue later, she's always like, why are you such a dick, Kaladin, and why do you hate him?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Look at him, talk to everybody. He
Oh,
just-
you're right. He treats them so bad.
I mean, even Dalinar, you know? I mean, even Dalinar, there's been moments where he's just like, no, he's just like the rest of them. And still has to be like, all right, do you really believe that, you fucking idiot? And he's just like, no. You know, it's just like, so if he can think that about Dalinar, he's going to think it about every
Anyone.
Light Eyes, you know?
But the good thing is that when they come out of that, I feel like they bond a tiny bit.
Yep.
They
And-
do definitely
Right,
bond.
right.
And that was good. And then when they come out of that, actually, Adolin offers him well, let's be honest. Kaladin has fought and killed one Shardbearer, fought and defeated but not killed another
involved in
Shardbearer.
4.
And then
Right.
he fought and helped defeat 4 Shardbearers. He's fought Shardbearers a lot.
Right.
And Adolin offers him a full plate and blade.
Yes.
And
And he says,
What is this idiot do?
no.
no.
I'm gonna give it to the one who may betray us all.
yeah.
Well,
The one that
I'm going to give it to
hated
the one that wants to
begin
kill
with.
the king.
Yeah.
And the captain's laughing like a dog.
That is kind of a turning point for Kaladin too. That we kind of that he realizes in prison. He's like, yeah, Elhokar needs to go, and that probably led to his decision to giving both the plate and the shardblade to Moash.
Could be, yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
No, that
he
is definitely
decided,
why.
and then he immediately was like, I'm gonna get out. Well, what can help you with this? I don't care. Take it.
But, I mean, he's refused blades before, though.
Yeah,
I
he
don't know
did.
if that was completely...
But
I mean, I
I
guess
could
it's why
see
he
him-
gave it to Moash, but
But
it's
I could
not
see
why
him
he
giving
refused
it to
it.
Taft if he really didn't believe what Moash
Yeah.
wanted. Because I think Taft is the more honorable, the sergeant general, the one who's like a leader.
But he
But
has
he gives it
commented
to-
multiple times, even when they were Bridge 4, about how...
Moash is the best fighter.
Moash is the best fighter. Like
Also-
he's the one that is really
Also-
because he made him like what the head of the
Yeah. Well, Moash and Scar are the
Security
best fighters.
yeah exactly
Moash and Scar are the best fighters, but Moash, who was the one who challenged him the longest when he was taking over Bridge 4,
right
also is the one who became the closest to a true friend.
right
So Moash is the one who talks to him not like a commander at times.
And didn't have this like star-studded in my eyes, like
Right,
this
right.
guy's untouchable, but could relate more.
yeah.
right Kaladin wasn't celebrity to him. He was just like
Kaladin.
Kaladin.
And Kaladin probably,
Yeah.
that was a good trait.
Right.
Kaladin in Kaladin's eyes.
So Moash is a shard bearer, becomes a light eyes.
His eyes turn lighter. They turn a light gray
do.
almost, or a
Light
light
brown.
brown.
It's a light brown bitch.
Yeah. So light. It's in the name.
Yep, they turn light, and after a week or so, it was gradual.
Just
but
a quick side note. If each one of you guys were in Kaladin's shoes, who would you have given the shard and plate to?
Me. I would have just kept it.
But if you're Kaladin, you may not be able to. It might bother you.
Well, if I was Kaladin, then I would do exactly as Kaladin did. But if I was in Kaladin's shoes and I was me, I would give it to me.
So you're saying that you don't have storm powers.
No, if I'm Kaladin in Kaladin's shoes, meaning I have all of his power. If it was my mind, but in the same exact situation, I would have just kept it because I would have the assumption that I would be able to do more good with it than anybody else.
But
But
you're
then you
missing
have
something.
screaming in your head.
Yeah, that's an option.
What's that?
The screaming.
Oh,
Yeah.
the screaming.
I would have given it to Rock. Hands down, the one who wants it the least is the one who would actually do the
Actually-
most with it.
I would probably give it to Rock as well. I like that. I like that
The
idea.
one who wants it the least is the one who
Now he's gonna
having
make
it forced
it
on
even
him would
more
do the best with
badass
it.
stew.
Dude, there's nothing that would be more funny than just like looking up and seeing Rock like cut that evening's dinner with a fucking shard. It's like, oh, are you going to eat this thing?
I don't know if you would be able to do that because you'd cut right through whatever you're using as the cutting board.
And also, he's like,
Kaladin, we need to make more
he's
cutting
also
board.
7.5 feet tall and like 3 times as wide as Kaladin, and no one would be like, I'll fight him.
Yeah,
I would have given Rock
stirring the pot with
the
it.
plate so that he looks like a beast.
Yeah.
No, I'm just joking. I'll let somebody else go first.
I would totally have given it to Rock. Because I
Alright.
think the person who
So
wants
Brett,
it the least
I think
would keep
I think
it?
I would just keep it. And, I mean, it's hard to say because I don't know, but I mean,
So
I
despite
think
the
I'd just keep
screaming, that like screaming stuff.
yeah, I forgot about the screaming. That kind of sucks.
that does suck.
But I mean, I feel like he's made, or me at this point, I've made so many sacrifices to do what I think is right. Like, how can you not deal with a little bit of screaming?
A little bit.
To become part of a system that you can then start to try and change it from the inside, rather than being this outsider that's always judging them and blah blah blah. Although
Adolin even
Dalinar's
says
trying
that.
to change it
No,
from the
no.
inside.
Adolin
too.
even says that. He says that would have been your ability to challenge Amaran.
Right.
Manny, what do you think? Silence.
Silence.
Damn. Damn, dude. So silent. We can't leave this much silence. Let's go, buddy. Just spit it out.
I don't know.
Spit it.
I feel like
Don't think too hard.
Just give it to the one-eyed guy, Lopin.
I feel like
Think as long as Kaladin did. Which
if
you've
I
already
was
thought
Kaladin,
longer.
if I was Kaladin and I had gone through all the things that he had, I would have given it to
Jesus. hurry up,
Moash,
man.
just like he did.
All right, that's fair.
But just like Brett says, if it was me, not having gone through any of that, in Kaladin's shoes, like had the ability to take it, yeah, I would take it for myself. At least, if not the shard plate, not the shard blade, at least the shard armor or the plate.
Like Manny, I would
plate.
have taken the shard plate because it's not screaming at me.
Yeah.
But I would have given the shard blade to Teft
Yeah.
so that he could be a boss.
I would definitely choose Teft over Moash.
Moash is the best fighter, though. That's the thing. And also Kaladin's real friend.
Yeah.
See, unlike Kaladin, Moash is not my friend. So
I would just keep it. I'm the only person that I know won't betray me.
that's true. I would give that to somebody because I can't have that. Captain,
I mean, I would prefer that power just
for the
doesn't
record,
exist,
let's let the
but
captain
if it
go.
has to.
For the record, I would have given both shard and plate to Lopin.
Yay!
I do love him.
Yeah, I
So
like
he can
Lopin
carve
too.
up some mean street food.
And my cousin.
The
My cousin,
Herdazian.
the Herdazian cousins.
Oh.
Yeah, no, hey,
Oh, you're giving me the
Dross,
plate now, Gonjo?
I want to remind you that we have a Brett bet out, and you bet that Lopin would betray the team.
Yeah.
I did.
And you give your
And now
shard
he's
blade
giving his
blade
shard
to
blade to
Lopin.
him.
I've really turned a new corner with Lopin. He's an amazing character, and I'm glad that he's not a traitor.
So far.
Maybe in honor, if I become strong enough one day, I will do Lopin-style one-handed push-ups.
Wait, but is this a Brett bet fulfilled? And
It's
we
not
could,
fulfilled yet.
Well, we could do the option that if we believe strongly enough, we can fulfill it. But if it gets turned around, everyone who lost does double the bet.
We'll discuss that
No,
later.
there's no. Yeah, we're gonna just wait till this fulfills itself.
That's the
All
end
right.
of the book. Then, if it
Moving
never
on.
happens.
Yeah. All right. So, Shallan shows her badass again as she's infiltrating the Ghostbloods and ambushes the masked girl while waiting to pick up her next mission. Super
So
badass.
good.
But they go to see the crazy man in the prison.
And she
AKA
plays that woman's
the Herald.
The question is it the Herald, though? That's a discussion we're going to have to breach
No, it is.
after next episode, I think.
All right.
It's the Herald.
Yeah. There's more to come from that. There's
Manny's
more to
writing
come
down a
from that.
fact check. It's
But we're gonna need to fucking have this conversation.
Yeah.
It's deep and harsh.
I don't want to have any more conversations with Jeff ever.
Yeah.
Why?
We're gonna have to talk.
He
about
knows
this.
why.
I don't know why.
Anyway, next week.
No, there's no. No. There's no. This is not a spoiler. This is not nothing of a spoiler or confirmed. It's simply we're all wondering.
Yeah.
You guys are funny.
Funny looking.
So I think from here, so obviously,
Sorry, I've been on Reddit. This
Shallan
is a
gets
huge
a
debate right
message
now.
that she's got to go in and find this raving lunatic that was brought back by Dalinar into the camp, and everyone's keeping hidden.
But she
And
runs into Amaram.
On the outside, before even all of this, she's like, the Ghostbloods gave me a mission. They told me I had to go pick up from this tree.
Dude.
And she sits there, waits for...
I know, but we know. But we just talk about your feelings, bro.
Okay.
We don't need a summary. So she how did you feel? I thought it was so badass, man. Like, she ambushed this crazy masked lady. Ambushed her. Playing her own game, right? Using pattern, of course. So what do you think? I think she's a badass.
I don't remember this part, actually.
You don't remember this part?
No.
Oh, my god. All right. Dross, Captain, what do you think?
Yeah, I think that was a bold move on Shallan's part, especially since she hadn't been safely inducted into the Ghostbloods at this point. And just for the record, did anyone else think that when you were picturing Itzel, was her name Itzel, the masked girl?
Yeah, I think so.
I think I was picturing her as Lando Calrissian with like his face like hidden in like a huge mask in Return of the Jedi. But anyway, I thought that was a really bold move on Shallan's part because anyone from the Ghostbloods could kill her at any time. And I think it was pretty amazing that she stood up, she confronted one of her potential murderers head on and tried to get a little collaboration going where, you know, the other member of the Ghostbloods can see how useful she is and what skills she brings to the table. And that only increases her camaraderie with the Ghostbloods.
That's huge. We also learned from the raving lunatic as she because that was the mission. So she literally makes the masked girl follow her and does that like a badass.
Oh, yeah.
And she finds out something interesting. Hang on. Let me. I wrote it.
Did anybody else think that this masked girl is probably really ugly? Because at first, Shallan thought that it was a man.
That's why I pictured Lando with the mask.
She thought it was a man until she noticed the curves.
That
Yeah.
was just the mask that made her think it was a man. Because
Hang on.
Shallan's sexist.
I pictured her as a female Billy D. Williams.
Oh my god.
Dude, no. Okay, so she breaks in anyway with this girl like a badass as she does, and she hears Amaram in the cell. Talk about that, but I'm gonna look up something for us. This is, I think, really interesting once I find it in my notes somewhere. But until then, you guys talk about Amaram. Okay, don't be so silent. What the hell?
I have no idea what you're talking about, guys.
Do it.
I don't remember this part very clearly.
Amaram, that bastard.
Amaram, so she's in the cell, and Amaram comes in with another person who sneaked him in to essentially view the Herald. And Amaran's like, what does he know? Like, what I want to hear firsthand exactly what's happening. And so Shallan hides herself in the corner by making herself completely dark. And
Now, is this the person that, collapsed in that one interlude? That's who this is. Okay.
Yeah. And so we start to learn, or we get a bit of the same. He seems to be a bit crazy. He's repeating the same verse over and over again, saying, it's been thousands of years. You guys don't know what's going on. We need to teach you forging. Or no, we don't have time to teach you forging.
That's the note I'm looking for.
We're gonna teach you guys how to make shardblades.
He says, Kalak will teach you how to smelt bronze. And then he says, Jezrim will teach you how to lead. He says, I'm looking for the fucking note. I was going to say, because you guys are laughing at me because we were debating, is he Herald or not? You guys are laughing, but I'm like, no, he knows shit that's out of control.
I'm always laughing.
I know you weren't. These guys
He
are.
name dropped Yezrian, who was the leader of the Heralds in the very first prelude chapter of Book 1.
And the surgeon. He's like, whatever the name is. I was looking for it in my notes. I can't find it right now, but he's like, this name, Herald, will teach you how to heal as a surgeon. Right. He literally says those comments in his insanity.
Man, I must have fell asleep when I was listening to this chapter.
Rote. It's something that he said probably hundreds of times before, and it's just like instinct. And he's broken to this point where that's all he remembers. He just I have to say this. That's all I gotta say. I just have to say this because it's happened over and over again. And they're like, this guy's nuts. We can smelt bronze.
But he's in the prison, and when Shallan finds him and she uses her power, he grabs her and pushes her against the wall, and he's like, "You're here!" like he said that, man. He's like, "You're here." You're the knight's radiant.
So
He says
so
something.
something
right?
snaps
So
him out of it a little
The
bit.
masked girl's name's Yaddle.
Yaddle. Nice.
Yaddle.
Yaddle. Yaddle.
Good job, fact checker.
Female Billy D. Williams.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have a ton to say about this because I don't remember it super clearly. I'm getting like flashes of it. I must have been falling asleep when I listened to it. But I mean, it basically comes down to, I mean, it seems like his interaction with Shallan would show its legitimacy, but it kind of comes down to, do
goes
we
back
think
to
he's
normal now,
crazy
yeah.
or do we
When
think...
Shallan asks him who he is, he says Talenal Ellen.
Herald.
Talenal Ellen.
But that doesn't mean he is a herald.
No, he
Right.
is a herald.
I mean,
The one you call Stone
I mean, I was in New York City and there was a guy claiming he was Jesus.
Right.
Doesn't mean
That's
he's
what I said,
Jesus.
that's what I said.
But I think it falls in line with what we learned from the very first book, very first chapters, is someone got left behind in this tortured hell, and the cycle didn't continue
The way
and
it should have.
the way it should have. And this has been way longer.
It's
than
been-
it
No,
should
Yeah.
you
have
guys,
been.
but we're all gonna have this conversation
Been long
again
overdue.
in chapter 5, or I mean in part 5. Mm-hmm. Do you agree? Mm-hmm. Okay. We'll revisit this in part 5 when Brett knows what's up and Dross knows what's up. For those of you who read book 2, you're probably screaming right now. This is a debate that's still ongoing on Reddit. And if it's still ongoing on Reddit, that means it was probably an interesting debate.
Yes.
So
I'll
anyway,
have to reread that chapter. What chapter is that?
Manny knows.
Okay.
It's at the end of part 4.
Yeah, I can show you. I can tell you. I have it right now.
So,
It is 63.
Okay.
63. All right. So real quick.
After
go
that,
ahead.
Jeff, they go on the expedition. I was just going timeline wise. They get ready for that expedition out to the Shattered Plains.
Yep. They start the expedition. So Kaladin gets released. He's depressed. Whatever. They go out onto the Shattered Plains and
yet again, Kaladin.
nope. Kaladin keeps talking about this weird person that he recognizes.
Yep.
A woodworker.
Oh,
Yeah,
carpenter.
woodworker.
The carpenter.
Carpenter.
Jesus.
It's Jesus.
Jesus.
Finally, Jesus comes into the story.
Yeah. So basically, there's an assassin that gets sent.
and he's got a shard blade.
Yeah, Jesus comes in with a shard blade. So when they go out onto the Shattered Plains, there's actually something huge that happens beforehand, which is that Sadeas at a feast reveals all of Dalinar's written,
Right.
his dreams, basically his storm.
Oh
dreams.
right, he
Yeah.
basically somebody stole all of the accounts that Navani was putting together.
I
and
personally
releases
think he
them, yeah.
handled that very well. He just stood
Correct.
up on the table and he goes,
Yeah.
Soon
Yeah.
you guys are gonna know I'm not crazy.
"Motherfucker,
Yeah.
you ain't gonna know."
Take a gamble.
He acted like he took it like a true honey badger. He's like, I don't give a fuck.
Dalinar don't give a fuck. Yeah, I agree. I think he handled that about as good as you could handle that situation. It'd be better if it wasn't, released in a way that wasn't under their control. But
Yeah.
I think he handled it about as good as you could handle that situation. Dalinar just continues to be awesome.
We're at a
Agreed.
dilemma, guys.
Why? What's our dilemma?
Our dilemma is we're at an hour.
Okay.
But we got to talk about what happens, as the captain mentioned, when they go out to the Shattered Plains.
Yeah, let's
Yeah,
talk about
let's
that
talk
real
about
quick.
that now.
All right. Fuck it. This is a long episode, folks. You're just going to have to enjoy it. So, basically, Kaladin notices a carpenter, right, Cherry?
Oh, shit.
I would like you to frame this scene. You've been excellent at that.
All right, so they're out on the plains. They go for an expedition to get Shallan, a first-person view of the what are they called? The Chiselis? The
Chrysalis. Chrysalis.
Yeah.
A chrysalis. Yeah, it's just a
Yeah, the chisels.
Just so you know, that was amazing. I did not plan that. But it was awesome.
So they go out, and while they're doing their travels, and they're trying to go out to one that they already killed, so she can see a dead one,
Right.
and
They won't let
making
her
their way
see a
across,
live one.
Kaladin all of a sudden sees someone he recognized, and he's like, "This guy looks familiar. It's one of the carpenters that's working on the bridge, the bridge pulled by the Chulls that Dalinar uses instead of the bridge crews." And he's like, "This guy's familiar." Then all of a sudden, they're crossing the bridge, and he sees the guy, and he's like, "I know where I recognize this guy from. He was in Sadeas' army, and he was one of the guys making the bridges."
Right.
And he immediately recognizes this is a plant. This guy's trying to kill Dalinar, and Dalinar's on the bridge. So he runs across, and you know who else is on the bridge? It's a couple soldiers and Shallan. So Kaladin runs across the bridge. Adolin recognizes Kaladin's alertness and running towards your bridge, recognizes something's happened, and goes towards Dalinar. And
Adolin,
the
always
bridge
awesome.
gets dropped into the chasm. 200 feet and no survivors.
Right.
Except
for
Wait. Time out. Enough summary. That was amazing, by the way.
First of all, I want to just talk about.
Yes.
Well, I don't know if I'm
Go.
jumping
No.
ahead, but
Now it's time. Dude,
my
we're going.
favorite part about this
Go ahead.
scene was after we figure out the survivors, the only two survivors. I love the internal dialogue bouncing back and forth between them about how they both think they're the ones that saved the other one, and they're not sure how they did it. It's like my favorite part of this entire
I was laughing
sequence.
so
It's
hard.
So
it's
good.
Shallan and Kaladin that both survived.
Exactly.
The 200 plus foot drop into the chasm. Every single other soldier and Light Eye and person crossing the bridge at that time, dead.
Yeah.
Yeah, but let's not forget to bring up the fact that when when Kaladin used the Stormlight, which he forced to use or for Syl to use, he heard her scream.
Syl screams.
Yeah, Syl
And
screams.
he never.
Which
sees
means
He
that
doesn't see her
likely
again after
Shallan was the one who saved both of them.
I think he saved himself, but he forced Syl to use Stormlight
Against her will.
against her will.
it. And that maybe killed her.
Maybe not against her will, but she's not supposed to give him Stormlight when he's not being honorable.
When he's not being honorable.
But she didn't want him to die, so she killed herself to save him.
But there's definitely a scene there where
Because
she
she
specifically
broke the
screams
oath.
when he's reaching for it. So there's a reason for that.
Yeah, because he's falling, and she likes Kaladin. And he's reaching for it to live, and she has to break the oath that he already broke in order to give her the Stormlight. That's how I feel.
That makes sense.
That's how I feel, man. I don't know how you guys feel, but that's how I feel. Captain?
I feel really, really sad that Syl doesn't make another appearance for the end of this section. She might be dead for all we know, and I feel really, really bad about that. I like Syl.
That's
Yeah.
harsh, man.
She was like the one. She was like the one lighthearted part of Kaladin's story.
I know, it's
Right. She honestly was.
Except now he's with Shallan.
this is a little bit, it's a tad off topic, but the whole time that I'm watching, I mean, don't get me wrong, Kaladin is a great person, and I think hopefully he would be a great person without Syl. But the whole time I'm thinking about the fact that it'd be really nice if in real life powerful people could have a Syl, you know?
Conscience?
Yeah, could have a Syl that can take away their power if they stop acting honorably. Because there
What
are
a great concept.
it does seem like there are a few times where
Yeah.
Kaladin's gonna kind of overstep his bounds a little bit, but it's Syl that kind of prevents him from taking that dive into a negative direction. And
Well, but she doesn't even do it that successfully because he obviously takes the dive
kind of
in jail, and we don't know if he ever recovers.
we don't know if he ever recovers, but we do know that Syl is kind of absent at this point, and we don't know if he'll even have the power to accomplish what now he has decided he needs to accomplish, because without Stormlight, he's no different than any other person, you know, in the world. So,
But is it just a mechanism to say, like, they're still human, and a kind of a bringing down to earth point in the entire story, where it's like, if we don't do this, these guys are just these immortal beings that can do whatever they want. But there has to be a kind of a reckoning or a down to earth point where it's like, you have to realize that this isn't just a do whatever the hell you want card. You have to still, like, you have these rules, or you have this, like, you're still human. You can still fall. Just because you're now this supposed radiant, or you have these powers, doesn't make you immortal. Or
For sure.
They become
definitely.
radiance on the fact that they adhere to the oaths.
Exactly.
That's their bond.
The oath is like like a contract, per se. So you know what? Like, if anybody has seen Fate Stay Night, it's kind of like that.
yeah.
Well, and it's a great point to go back to what Yasna said, is just because we have the powers of the Radiance doesn't make us Radiants. And I think this is a great way of kind of introducing that back, that's saying, like, just because you've got a spren, or you've got these powers, that doesn't mean that you are these great, like, figures from the past.
but I
you
mean,
have
like,
to meet up, or you have to stand up to these, like, codes, or there's still
Ideals.
things that you're not a Radiant yet.
Right.
Well, I
Well,
mean,
the Spren even say that over and over again. Like, no, you're not there yet. You have to say more.
Yeah.
You have to say
Right.
more oaths.
Right.
Even Sill's like, you need to get the words.
Yeah.
But I think
Keep saying
even,
that.
but this alludes to even more than that. That it's not just saying the words. It's,
Well, yeah.
you have to abide by them, because he said the words and he was able to use the power, and that now that's gone, and we don't know if that's ever going to come
He
back.
said
It
some
is
words.
gone.
He said part of the oath.
Exactly.
Yeah.
He said part of the oath, and he was given powers on those parts. But now that we were alluding to that, he's not following that. Is that ever going to come back? Because he is not.
Does
following
anybody
that.
remember which words he said? What part of the oath did he say?
He said the
I will protect something, right?
It's.
It had to do with the bridge cruise. It was like,
I will protect those who cannot protect themselves.
themselves.
Yeah.
Right. So there's a part of me that kind of wonders if you're given a little bit of leniency on how much the powers are taken away from you based on the words that you've said so far. So as you recognize the responsibility, so he said a little bit of the oath, he said a little bit of the words, and as long as he adheres to that, maybe he has the powers. And then as he, says more and more of the oath, maybe he gets more and more of the power, but that means that you have to actually encompass more and more of the oath.
I feel like the oath is just, it's not necessarily you saying words. It's more so coming to realization and the meaning of what it is that you're saying.
Right.
And abiding to those.
Exactly.
those-
But this also could
those
mean that there,
ideals.
if going along with what Brett said, there could be even more power that he
Oh,
hasn't
absolutely.
even recognized.
Absolutely. Because he
as
hasn't come to
he
the
gets more of the
realization.
oaths.
I think it's as humans, as they develop and their thought process becomes less selfish, it becomes, especially for him, it becomes stronger.
especially for him, aka honor spell.
Honor spread.
Right. But what I was saying is that, like, I feel like we don't know yet, but I feel like there is a chance that even though he was kind of acting apparently unhonorable or inhonorable with his dealings with Elokar, with the king,
Amaram?
Alucard and
Oh, okay.
Moash and
Yeah, yeah,
Amaram
yeah.
too. Amaram's a big part
with
of it.
his being able to assassinate him or kill him. I feel like the part of the oath that he said was protect those that can't protect themselves. Elokar can kind of protect themselves. He's in a position of power. So even though he's acting inhonorably, I wonder if it doesn't mean quite as much as him having. Maybe there are words later on that would mean, oh, he'd have to protect him too.
But I mean, honestly, Kaladin, in his heart, believes that Elokar is helpless. And that's a fact.
Yeah.
He does.
Think about it.
He does.
The way that he talks down to that son of a bitch king, it's hands down. He
No,
feels
but that
Even
doesn't
though he's a
necessarily
light eyes
mean-
with like endless resources.
But
at his
Kaladin
fingertips.
says all this shit about light eyes, but he acts like one. And he judges
does.
people hard, and
Yeah, he does.
is acts like he's above of a lot of people. So
yeah, and he
I
thinks
think
he's better than.
I think personally he views the king as being very weak.
Okay.
That's my opinion, but that's just my opinion. But I think that either way, he agrees with Moash's.
He hasn't.
At
Did
this
he
point,
not say
when-
life before death?
He did say life.
He
before
did.
death.
Oh, maybe he did.
Because I think that was part of his oath, right? Like life before death.
Actually, that might have been the words that he needed to say. Life before death.
I'll have to look that up.
But
I wrote
that,
it down.
that
We'll look
is
it up.
one
We'll
of
look
the
it up.
main
We'll
look it up.
points of the story Whit told him in jail.
Yeah,
Is the
it's
whole
also-
running
yeah.
with what's his name? Flea? No, Fly?
Fleet.
Right. Fleet the
The whole
runner.
his whole purpose is to say like he's going, he's trying his hardest, it's all about he lives and he does, and then he dies. But
The word-
it's not that he didn't make it to the end, it's that how
hard he
made it,
tried.
how
Yeah,
hard
yeah.
he tried.
Journey,
The journey.
before destination, that kind of thing.
It's the whole words of the words of kings or whatever.
The way of kings.
The way of kings.
Yeah. But now we're in Words of Radiance, which is
Yeah.
the problem.
Yeah.
And we're not done with it yet. That's the problem as well.
So we're in the chasm.
So anyway, we're in the chasm. And we got some crazy shit going down. Crazy
Yes.
shit.
Well, one thing I would love to point out is how much Shallan starts to fill Tien's role. Is Kaladin is still his brooding,
That's only 'cause
I'm
Syl's not there,
angry
though.
Yeah.
self. But whenever the weeping would come, whenever things would look down for him, Tien would bring him out of it. And who's the one who, when he's going through these chasms, he is completely just like, I can't talk
So,
to Syl,
Kaladin-
everything's not going well, and this is all terrible. Someone actually makes him smile down there.
Well, I think that what really happened is he hated this goddamn light eyes bitch. Mm-hmm. And then he realized that her life was harder. Like openly, Kaladin was complaining like a bitch, and we know both of their backstories. So
Yeah.
then we're reading from Kaladin's perspective, and it was kind of like it sounded like a little crybaby
Yeah.
because we know Shallan's backstory, right?
Yeah.
And then
At
she's
least
just
some of
like,
it.
yeah, whatever. And so I think that impacted Kaladin because by the end of the time that they're in the chasms, he realizes, wow, this girl's been through some really hard shit, and she just looked at me straight in the eye and smiled.
Yeah.
So it's possible.
And not only learning more about her, but I just think in general, anytime anybody, no matter what your relationship is, anytime you go through something that could kill you or something that is a hardship together, it's always going to bring you
Bring you
more
closer.
in line to their point
But
of
let's
view.
let's not forget. Besides the fact that she makes herself relatable by telling him her backstory, she also calls him out on everything with valid points
Yeah.
that he can't even like retort to.
Right.
So he comes to the realization like, I'm not better than the people that I dislike.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think that had a lot to do with it as well. Like, she really is not. She's
said-
smarter than him.
She said she said everything that we've wanted to say to him for the past
Yeah. And
2 books.
not only that, she pulls her shardblade out and gives it to him.
Yeah.
Oh!
And it doesn't scream.
It doesn't scream.
What do you guys think about that?
I saw the sign when I looked.
Well,
up
you
at
know,
the sky.
you know my thoughts on that.
You know my thoughts on that
Yeah.
too.
Captain, what do you think?
What do you think?
I think that that's certainly a good sign. She might have a. She might have a whatever makes her shardblade is not made from the same stuff from a lot of the other shardblades that Kaladin has.
Does anyone believe me
encountered?
now that I said that that shardblade is her mom? Is anyone coming over to my side?
That
I don't know.
that could
I
very
have a
well be the
different
case.
Thought on what that is.
Huh? What, Andrew?
That could be the case. He said.
I was just gonna say that could be the case.
And to be honest, I think that this would be a good part to stop talking about or this podcast because I think we should probably save the rest for the final chapter, which is going to have like so many reveals.
So many reveals, yeah.
Because some of these, I think this part right now, we have more information from finishing the book that I don't want to offer my opinion.
So basically, what's up is Kaladin and Shallan kill
A chasm fiend.
a chasm fiend.
Yeah.
And I'll also say that Kaladin does it without Syl.
Yeah,
But he
Kelvin
does do it.
but he does do it with a shard blade.
But he does do it with Shallan, who is distracting the beast with her illusions.
Yes.
He also gets his leg half
She's a
chewed
badass
off, though.
bitch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, that scene was hilarious. When he's in the chasm fiend's mouth, it clenched on him, but
Yeah.
he stabbed it through
Remember
the
when we
brain.
began this podcast and we were talking about who we were going to like more? And I was like, Shallan. And I'm like, yeah, I'm glad I made that decision because she's a badass bitch.
Oh, damn.
She's awesome. I think Kaladin has more room for growth
Oh, absolutely.
because he's
Yeah.
so far behind.
Yeah, Shallan's already in.
Shallan's so awesome already.
But well,
But
I
then
know what you're
Shallan
saying.
jumps in there and kind of helps him in the mouth of the chasm fiend.
Yeah.
She helps him get out of the mouth.
Yeah.
Get out of the mouth, Kaladin. Your
Now,
legs chewed
one
off.
question I had is later on in this scene, after they kill the chasm fiend, and they're like trying to get out of the chasm. Is this a normal thing? Do we have any precedent to show that other blades can just adjust size like that? Remember, she was like trying to cut like the things. Is that something I don't remember? Is that anything that we've seen before, or is
No.
this something that is special so far?
not
That's
something
something
we've seen before, but I don't think it's unique.
But we
I don't think it's
unique.
unheard of
Okay.
at this point. If I remember correctly, I don't think it's unheard of.
We've
Okay.
never heard of anything like that.
Okay.
In the book, we've never heard of anything like that.
So I thought that I just thought that was interesting, and I liked how she's just like, oh, that's convenient.
It's smaller.
Oh, that's how they should behave, you know. And I just thought maybe they shouldn't always behave like that.
No, we've never heard of that yet. Interesting.
All right, so
All
is
right,
there
folks.
anything else we need to cover? They're
Nope.
out. They're out of the. Are they out of the chasm?
They
Well,
get
they're
out.
still in the
Yeah.
chasm. We'll finish the chasm probably next time.
Nah, I mean, they get out, but
They
we'll
get out,
talk
yeah.
about it. So we're gonna finish now. This is Lit Literature, and we are very lit because it is the second episode that we've recorded today.
Yeah.
Yet,
And the cherry is even more so red.
I have never seen a man suck down so much Bacardi and
Coke.
Diet Coca-Cola.
Diet Coke.
All right.
Wait, do you drink Diet Coke because you're like on a diet or? Okay.
The look.
Are you
the
watching
look
your
in
weight?
the eyes.
He's diabetic.
All right, folks. Thank you for joining us on Lit Literature. And next episode will be the last practice episode that you have to listen to.
Although we might end up doing 2 episodes on the next section.
Oh my God, yeah.
Because I think
There's
probably
so
gonna be
much
a
on the
lot,
last
yeah.
one.
Actually, what I meant to say was not next episode, but next 2 episodes.
Yeah.
Next 2 episodes will be the last episodes of Book 2, and we will be moving on to Book 3
Oh,
with a
yes.
real
Oh,
format.
can't
and
wait.
Where we're all starting with a clean slate.
Yes. Finally.
Finally,
It's gonna be nice.
finally, we all get to be in the same
Josh,
place.
you're not allowed to freaking read the whole book in 3
Yeah.
days.
I'm gonna do it.
You're not
Don't
reading
do
ahead.
it. No, you got to read with us, bro. Just do it. All right.
All right,
Folks,
guys.
Lit Literature. Again, this is your host, the Demon, JP. From Sunnyside Shatterplains, you have...
The Captain Dross.
That delay, though.
That delay across the table.
You got the cherry, Josh.
Brett, the director.
Aim the dream, Manny.
And
can-
again,
Check me out at brettwilliamsfilm.com or on Twitter at @bwilliamsfilm.
ooh,
Boom.
nice.
And
Also, you
Tinder, DoubleDDicks.com.
You can find Lit Literature on Facebook.
What the fuck does that
also,
mean?
you have
That's-
Lyket.net, Lyket.
T.
.net,
Lyket.
We'll see you again next week.
Just
Have a
cut
good
off.
one.
All right.
Cheers.